Get ready, here comes At the Market with Brian Neiman. At the Market is produced by CTV and sponsored by Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank, St. John, Providence River District Hospital, with additional support from the Culinary Institute of Michigan, Bill McDonald Ford, and St. Clair County Community Mental Health.
Challenge the clock. Challenge trends. Challenge gravity. Challenge expectations. Challenge world records. Challenge the culture and the future. Challenge banking. We challenge ourselves to be curious about ideas that make banking better. We're Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank.
Mr. Mack, our great prices have sold us out of inventory.
Don't worry, Kathy. I sent Max to the factory to get us more.
Max did it! He got us everything we need!
For the best selection and best prices every day, come to Bill McDonald Ford.
AZ Plan customers lease a Ford Focus SE only $156 per month with $906 cash due at signing.
Hi there. I'm Ernest Worth, the Executive Director of Blue Water Habitat for Humanity, and I'd like to welcome you to At the Market. Normally you would be with Brian Neiman, but as you can see, he's not here today, and I'm going to be your host, along with a couple of special friends. One is Miss Sanilac County, who is Heather Kendrick, who is also hosting with me.
Thank you, Ernest.
And the very distinguished looking lady standing next to her is from the Culinary Institute of Michigan, and her name is Paula Resanella, correct?
Very good.
I practiced that, so I hoped it came out okay. And today you've brought several of your students with you, correct?
That is correct.
And they're going to prepare something for us. And if you'll notice, she's more looking like a chef, and the rest of them are not. Could you explain that for us, Paula?
Well, these are some of our students that are in our food and beverage management program, so we thought it would be nice to focus on that program this year. Last year we brought some of our culinary arts students. So what they are preparing for you today is a classical Caesar salad done tableside. So they are going to start from scratch with the dressing and do a classical version of that for you today. So,
and we can get started right away. At some point, too, I want to talk a little bit about the Culinary Institute of Michigan,
Sure.
which just rolls right off your tongue. That's a great title for an educational institution. I love that. It's
I
just
love that
great.
too.
We're all about education.
we are all about education.
Especially with the Miss America pageant.
Yes.
So, and you have several with us here today. And
Correct.
All of these people, though, are really looking at what I would call it a job in the future and the front of the house, correct?
Correct.
Where they would be in the management role and overseeing. But in talking to you earlier, they have to know the back of the house as well, right? They have to know it all to be able to manage.
That is correct. We're a firm believer that whether you're in food and beverage management or culinary arts, you need to know both aspects of the front and the back of the house. So our culinary students also have to work in the front of the house and learn how to run the bar, serve our guests, host, anything that has to do with the front, as well as our food and beverage management get some focus on working in a kitchen and learning basic skills for the kitchen. When you're a manager, you need to be able to jump in wherever's needed.
Great. So if you want to get us started, we'll see which direction we're going with this salad and what it takes to prep this, and we'll talk about some of the ingredients as we go along.
Okay, great. It's fairly simple to prep. There's not a lot of prep time for it, actually. So the three students here to my right are going to start preparing the dressing. So you're going to notice that there's a controversy. A lot of people prefer to have their Caesar dressing without anchovies. So we actually will have both versions. They're going to make the one with anchovies. We have some prepared already without anchovies.
And so what are they doing right now with that? They're literally pressing that anchovy into that bowl.
Correct. They're spreading the anchovy around the bowl to get some of the flavor on the bowl, and then they'll take that out, and then they're going to go with more of the preparation of the dressing, and then a little bit later in the stage of the dressing, they'll add the anchovy, so there will be actually pieces of the anchovy in the dressing. So right now they're adding pasteurized egg yolks. So with pasteurized egg yolks, they are able to be eaten raw. A traditional Caesar dressing has raw egg yolks in it. So like I said, we use pasteurized, so it is safe to eat. So you whip these until they're thick and somewhat frothy. Now, not everybody follows this whole classical version, but we wanted to go classical and show you what a real Caesar dressing is. That's why we're going with the egg white or the egg yolks and the anchovies. So once they whip this up until the egg yolks are a little thick and frothy, they're going to put in a olive oil, vegetable oil blend, and they're going to emulsify that together, which means they're going to combine the oil and the egg yolks so it's one solid unit instead of a separated dressing. Well, I should say, theoretically speaking, that's what's going to happen, right, guys?
And I love to cook, but when it comes to salad and this kind of prep, it's probably why I go to a restaurant, because this seems really entailed to me. But maybe by the time we're done, I'll feel more confident in making my own dressing at home. I'm more of my mother is from the South, and so I'm a very down-to-earth cook, if you might say.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can master this. Now, Heather, you like cooking too, correct?
I do like cooking, I do.
Have you made your own dressing before?
I've never made my own dressing, but I think it's a great idea. I actually went to boarding school for high school, so I was eating in a cafeteria, and we would try and concoct our own dressings together with lots of dressings that were there, but this looks much better than what I had ever come up with.
Okay, so now they're adding in another
So now they're adding
ingredient.
the oil into the eggs. They're emulsifying the oil into the egg yolks.
And you do that very slowly? Are they pouring that very slowly?
Yep, you're going to drizzle that in very slowly to the same speed as that you can whip it in. So you're whipping it in at the same speed, so that helps emulsify it so it's not separated.
Okay, that makes sense.
And if I were making this at home, would I make a single serving of the dressing, or could I make the dressing like more in bulk and use it for a week?
You can
if
make
I was
it,
storing
yes,
it
you can
properly?
make it in bulk.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long, you just said a week, how long could you keep it refrigerated?
Well, you have to keep in mind that there are raw egg yolks in it.
Okay.
Sure.
Granted, they are pasteurized, but they still have a shelf life. So I always say your rule of thumb for a dressing, because an emulsified dressing will separate after a period of time of being in there anyway. Right. So I would say about that 5-day mark is about the max you'd like to keep it.
Great.
Sometimes it's less, but if you're storing it properly, you can probably get 5 days max out of it.
Great.
So like I said, they're drizzling this in very slow to emulsify that into the egg yolks, and it gets very thick.
I can see hers right here is really getting thick.
Yes.
What is your name?
Morgan.
Hi, Morgan. Can you tip the side of your bowl up a little bit there so we can get a look at that? It almost looks like frosting to me. It's
Yes.
that
Like
thick.
lemon
Yeah, but it gets
frosting.
very
Lemon
thick.
frosting. And so if we were going to do like dinner for 4 people, how long would it take to do this start to finish, since we're just prepping right now?
If you're prepping everything,
Yes.
I would think you could feasibly probably be ready to go in max half an hour.
Half an hour.
Yeah, that's from starting with fresh garlic. You're peeling it, you're chopping it. We use a block of Parmesan. That's the freshest way to use Parmesan as opposed to pre-grated or shredded. So grating it, measuring, chopping your garlic, cutting your romaine lettuce. I would say probably half an hour
Okay.
for somebody who might not be doing it on a daily basis.
Now, at the Institute, when they're learning all of these culinary aspects, is this something, we're doing this table side, is this something that we would get to see happening right at the Institute if
Yes.
we were going to lunch there? Or?
Yes. This past week, actually, we did start our table side. So we're still kind of piecing equipment together. So we started our table side last week. Last week we featured, or the week before, I should say, Bananas Foster. They were doing Bananas Foster table side. This upcoming week, we're going to be offering, we're going to be doing guacamole table side for one of our appetizers. We're going to be offering the Caesar salad table side and possibly Bananas Foster as well.
Oh, nice.
All done table side.
Very nice.
I love guacamole tableside. I think that's so fun.
You give me guacamole and I'm good no matter how.
No matter how.
As long as it's fresh. Fresh
And-
guacamole is the best.
And what are you adding right now?
right now some mustard and cheese and garlic.
Also a mixture of Tabasco sauce and Worcestershire sauce.
Okay, so quite the combination there.
Yes.
of
So fresh
ingredients.
garlic, dry mustard, Dijon mustard, Tabasco sauce, Worcestershire. Now, and at this stage, they're going to add that a little bit of anchovy back in there, and as they mix it, that anchovy is going to break up and blend into the dressing as well.
Okay.
Should be smelling that garlic soon, right?
Yeah, and I can smell quite a bit of it already. Yes. So
Caesar dressing does have a good amount of garlic in it.
It's very pungent.
Yes.
It's got my attention, and if I'm going to do salad dressing, I want something that I'm scent activated by.
I have mints in my pocket for later. So.
Fabulous.
It's
We're
always
all
good
set.
to know when you're doing a cookie show that you get to taste it after.
I love that.
So that's good.
And I really love the mentality of the front of house and back of house education together. I actually work at a restaurant in Ann Arbor when I'm at school, and I work front of house. But I'm always so curious about what's happening back of house, and I would love to be able to jump in and help. And
it's you know, and it kind of gets a little frustrating when you have a cook telling the server that you don't really know what you're doing when that cook's never been a server, and vice versa.
Exactly.
So they need to walk in each other's shoes to get a better understanding of everything, and then they have a little more respect for each other as well.
I think that gives the whole effect of teamwork.
Yes.
Because if you have a team, no matter where you're at, whether it's culinary, whether it's Habitat for Humanity, if everyone knows what everyone else is doing and has a good sense of that, that teamwork makes it really nice.
Correct. So now they're finishing with red wine vinegar, and that's going to thin the dressing out a little bit.
Okay. And is that also poured in slowly?
Yes, it's poured in slowly because you don't want to break it.
Okay.
Because as everybody knows, oil and vinegar don't mix.
Right.
So there's a correct way to emulsify it together. So they're ending with the vinegar and they're going in very slowly. And then they're going to go about halfway on the vinegar. Then they're going to taste it to check how much vinegar flavor is in there, because we don't want it to overpower everything else.
Okay.
So
mix that together
that's quite a bit of mixing and whipping. Is your arm tired from doing that?
I could end up with carpal tunnel at any time.
We have a jokester.
We do. We like a little comedy. That's good.
We do.
That's good. You guys look good, though. You really look like you know what you're
He
doing.
usually keeps a serious face, but every now and then those little jokes come out.
Okay,
so.
and I see them tasting.
Correct. They're tasting the amount of vinegar and what's in there so far,
see if it's-
because we don't want it to be over vinegar.
So I can tell everybody that when I'm at home and I'm doing that, it is completely etiquette-wise okay for me to taste to make sure that
Well, as
there's
long
the
as
right
you're tasting and you're not double dipping in it with your spoon, not your finger. So.
spoon, and then we dispose of that and recycle it, though.
Recycling
right?
always.
Well, I will say that unfortunately our forks over there are not, but our tasting spoons, tasting forks, and our to-go containers that we use at the Sim are all compostable.
Oh, very
They're
nice.
corn products. So.
Heather
love it.
is very into
love it.
recycling and the environment, so
Yeah,
she is thrilled.
we are too, so-
She said to me while you were setting up prior to, I really hope they're recycling all of this.
Yeah, these are all compostable. And actually, we get these from a Michigan company. We're very big on Michigan products. I was born and raised in Michigan, so
As was I and Heather, so.
it's in my heart. So we try and focus on as many Michigan products as we can.
How great.
We have a full bar that the students have to work behind as well. All of our beer on tap and all of our bottled beer except for 2 are all Michigan craft beers.
Michigan craft.
All our wine is Michigan wine. We get as much Michigan produce in as we can. Our coffee comes from a Michigan roaster, as well as our loose leaf tea. So we really, we carry Vernors, of course, because you have to have Vernors if you're in Michigan.
That's right.
We're working on getting the Fago product, so.
Very good. And I love Fago products.
Love
You know, you
Fago.
grow up
Great.
with them as a kid. I know I look very
Exactly.
youthful, but
Yeah.
as a kid, I had the opportunity to do Fago and Vernors.
And it teaches the students to focus on, your community, where you live, to support your area as much as you can. How we doing?
So what's our next step here?
Well,
Are
then
we-
they tasted it, and then they are seasoning with salt and pepper to taste. So then they taste it again. So now I'm going to check them. Use a little more salt and pepper.
That
no
would probably
peppermint salt.
be
That's
an
good.
either really good job or a bad job,
It's
Paula.
a
If they're doing it right,
well,
it's a really good job.
If they're doing it right, it's a really good job. Some days it's tasting a lot of one thing, and it's like, okay, I can't do that again.
Right. How many times can you cleanse your
Yeah.
palate, right? So that you know
Well,
what you're tasting.
when we're in sauce week, and they're making a bunch of sauces, one of the sauces they have to make is a hollandaise sauce.
Oh my
So if you're not
goodness.
familiar with a hollandaise sauce is egg yolks and butter. So after tasting that 8 times, I'm like,
wow.
I can't. I feel my arteries clogging after tasting that 8 times, and sometimes more than that if they have to redo it. So
No more Eggs Benedict for the
does
next
get a,
week.
does get a lot, but usually the only thing I eat during the day is tasting what they're making. So now it's not all that for that amount of lettuce. Okay, it's just a coat. So we only put enough dressing on just a coat, so the lettuce is not weighted down. A classical Caesar salad is romaine lettuce, so we have nice fresh romaine. I'm a firm believer if I go and I get a salad, everything in that salad needs to be bite-sized, ready to eat. So our lettuce does not require any cutting. Croutons are tiny, bite-sized, ready to go.
I love that.
Oh, that's
And
great.
we're hopefully going to lunch there this week, so we get to experience
Yes.
that.
I
Heather,
can't
so-
wait.
Yes. This is our first quarter for our student-run restaurant. It's doing very well. Next week, or this week is our last week, and then they have finals next week, and then we'll reopen again the second week of July.
And can you give us a basic idea of what the menu would entail if we went to say lunch?
Yes, this is lunch. We are only open for lunch right now. We open at 11:30, and I take the last reservation at 1:15. It is reservation only. We seat about 46 in the dining room, including the bar. We will be setting up our patio this week, so we will have patio seating, as we are right on the St. Clair River, right by the Blue Water Bridge. So we have a phenomenal view. So we run a soup du jour every week, changes. We have 2 salads on the menu. We have one that's called Simply Michigan, because it is Michigan. So we have Traverse City cherries, fresh lettuce, goat cheese, and we have a homemade cracker crisp on it. Our entrees we have a duet of beef, which is grilled hanger steak with braised short ribs that is then molded and breaded and fried with fennel potato gratin. We have a seared salmon. We have chicken lollipops, which are the chicken leg and it's lollipops, so the end of the bone is all clean, so it looks like a lollipop, with homemade tarragon spatzel. And we have what we call a soup and a half. So whatever our soup du jour is that week, you can get a cup of soup with a small sandwich, and it can be roast beef chicken or roasted vegetables. And all our bread, all our rolls, all our desserts are made right there in the at the sim by our students with the assistance of the instructors.
Very nice. So actually a really well-rounded menu,
Correct.
considering you are a complete restaurant but have to do it in an educational setting.
We have to have certain components and certain elements and cooking procedures for the students that they are getting off the menu. So we also make our own ice cream, so all our desserts are homemade ice cream.
Wow.
So everything is made right there.
I'm very hungry and I can't wait to go to lunch there.
I think we're going to have a great time.
And I see your students have,
Yes.
and I will tell you, it looks lovely.
So this is, then what we do is when it's all done, tossed with the dressing, we top it with fresh grated Parmesan and fresh croutons. So these are the salads right here that have anchovy in the dressing, and then the students over here have the salad with the dressing that does not have anchovies in it.
And so do we get to test this?
You do
and
get to
taste
test it. Please
Heather, are you
help
going to go
yourself.
for anchovies or not?
I'll go for anchovies.
I'm going to do
All
it
right,
too.
great.
I'm gonna
Bring
go
it
for
on.
Anchovies.
There you go.
I'm just going to set
Thank
this
you so
down.
much.
I am going to try both. I don't want to. It's Steven, correct? I don't want to leave you out, Steven. So. That is very, very good. And you're Jessica?
Yep.
Can you give us your whole name, Jessica?
Jessica Lay.
Thank you. And now, how was yours?
I tasted Morgan's and I give her an A+.
And now it's Steven's turn. Steven gets an A too. Great job.
Just remember, I'm the one that gives the grades.
That's right.
We are going into
She's still-
finals week, so we want
Yes.
some external
Right.
validation coming
Yes.
towards
My
it.
grade and hers doesn't count, but We'll make phone calls for you, okay? Well, go ahead. Thank you very much. We're going to take a commercial break for right now, and we'll be right back.
Awesome. That was really good. Okay. Thanks again to Culinary Institutes of Michigan for another great At the Market with Brian Neiman. We also want to thank our host, Ernest Worth, Executive Director of Blue Water Habitat for Humanity, and his special guest, Heather Kendrick, who's Miss Sanilac County. We wish her the best of luck at the Miss Michigan pageant. We want to thank our sponsors, Fifth Third Bank, St. John Providence River District Hospital, the Culinary Institutes of Michigan, Bill McDonald Ford, and also St. Clair County Community Mental Health. Coming up in the next few shows, we've got Little Camille's from New Baltimore is coming, Carson's Island Schoolhouse Grill, also the Sweet Tooth of Marine City, and Marine City Fish Company. So come and see us here at the market at Neiman's on Mondays. Join the audience and enjoy free samples and get some recipe cards. Find us on Facebook at the Market with Brian Neiman, and also you can watch us at watchctv.org. Brian will be back next week, and Paul will be back directing. We've had a great time. We'll see you next week.
Sometimes asking for help is the hardest thing you can do, but it is the most important step toward recovery. St. Clair County Community Mental Health provides publicly funded mental health services for adults and children with mental illnesses, developmental disabilities, substance use disorders, or serious emotional disturbances. Call the Access Line toll-free at 888-225-4447, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. St. Clair County Community Mental Health, promoting opportunities for discovery and recovery.
There are food people, and there's everyone else. Feed your passion and prepare yourself for a career in culinary arts, baking and pastry, or food and beverage management at Baker College's Culinary Institute of Michigan, one of the few culinary arts programs with exemplary status from the American Culinary Federation. Prepare yourself at culinaryinstitutemi.com.
At the Market was produced before a live audience at Neiman's Family Market. At the Market is produced by CTV and sponsored by Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank, St. John Providence River District Hospital, with additional support from the Culinary Institute of Michigan, Bill McDonald Ford, and St. Clair County Community Mental Health.